Hey guys, what's up? Nilo de Meijer here. It's been a while since I've posted something on YouTube, but I get this question a lot: how do you make those seamless connecting photos on Instagram? Well, actually it's pretty easy, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can do it yourself. I've been using Photoshop for over a decade because I'm a graphic designer, but around a year ago I made a transition to using Figma. And Figma is a free software tool which can be used for this purpose as well. If you don't have Photoshop and you don't want to pay for a subscription for Photoshop, I highly recommend using Figma. But if you use Figma, you need to pay a little bit more attention compared to Photoshop. And later in this video you will see why. Why Photoshop? Well, if you use this method, it's error-proof actually. Because you're going to set rulers in your file and the software actually cuts out the rulers. So it's easy to see, you don't have to zoom in perfectly, and that's basically it. You throw in your photo, you resize it, export it, done. Okay, so let's dive into Photoshop. Since I'm a Mac user, I use Command instead of Control. So if you're not using Mac, just change the Command to Control and you can just follow along. So in Photoshop, I press Command N to make a new file. Enter a name, Instagram carousel. I never know if it's carousel with a double R and a double S. For width you pick 8640 by 1080 pixels and a resolution of 72. And make sure it's in RGB since it's for web. Now press create or press enter. I always start by unlocking my background. So actually it's pretty simple. Go to view in the top center of your screen. Just go a little bit down to new guide layout. And now you can fill in your columns and rows and margins, but there's only one thing you're going to use, and that's columns. And as you can see now there are 2 lines, but that means there's only 1 column and you need to have 10 columns. Just fill in 10 and press OK. So now you've got these 10 columns and each column is 1 photo. So for example, this is the first photo that's going to be shown on your Instagram. So for example, I'm going to use this photo that I've shot a few months ago. So I place this as my first photo. And as you can see, it's already going into the second photo. So what I usually do is I'm going to duplicate this photo by pressing Command J. As you can see on the right bottom corner, there's a second layer. I'm going to place it over here. Zoom a little bit out, press Command T to transform. Zoom in a lot, just how much you want, maybe a little bit bigger. Place it over here. Let's zoom in. Alright. Oh. And since I've duplicated it and made it bigger, the left part is covering my first photo. Well, for that I'm going to use a mask on the right bottom corner. Add layer mask. As you can see, it has a white mask over here. All you need to do is zoom in a little bit, select it by pressing M and just select the full first photo and press Command Backspace. But this only uses if you got your swatches here, black in the front, white on the back. So as you can see, I've got 3 photos right now and a 4th is being made a little bit. But that's not what I want. You can just leave it like this, or if you feel like deleting it, you can do the same as you did with the first part of this photo. And this is very important that you don't miss this step. Press C on your keyboard and as you can see over here it says slices from guides. If you don't see this, press Shift C a couple of times until you see it. Or just right click on this icon and pick Slice tool. Press Slices from guides. And as you can see over here, it puts a little 1, 2, 3, 4, etc, etc. And this is how you can see that you've actually did the right thing. And I've already told you it's easy. Well, it actually is easy. This is everything. Just export it by Command Alt Shift S. Zoom out a little bit so you can see the photos. And as you can see, they are grayed out. That means you haven't selected them. So be sure to select them and use Shift to select multiple photos. Press Save, and as you can see in the bottom part of the screen, it has Format, Settings and Slices. Make sure you click on Slices and pick Selected Slices. So in this case you will only take the photos that you've selected, and press Enter to save them. So, and that's how you make seamless connecting photos for Instagram on Photoshop. So, and now let's head over to Figma. As I've said before, I've been using Figma for over a year now. So if you just downloaded Figma, everything in your screen is probably empty. Just start by making a new draft. And you do that by clicking on this plus sign or just Command N or Control N if you're not using a Mac. Now that you've made a new draft in Figma, press F to create your first artboard and just tap on it. It's a square 100 by 100 pixels. That's not enough for Instagram. I always use 846 by 1080, so just fill it in. And this is your first artboard on the right size for Instagram. And just as we did by Photoshop, we're just going to make a carousel of 3 photos. So this first artboard, or a frame as it says here, needs to be duplicated twice. So press Alt on your keyboard and just place an artboard next to the first one. Okay, and do that again for the third one. Since you want to make a seamless connecting image, make sure that they're standing next to each other. You can do it by zooming in and just placing it next to the first frame. Or, let's go back, Command Z. You can just select them both, go to the right upper corner and click Tidy Up. Now you can see over here, they're both 134 pixels next to each other. And just click on it, make it 0 and enter. That's all. So a couple of weeks ago I went shooting deers, and for this tutorial I'm just going to use one of those photos. So take it out of your Finder and place it into your first frame. And just as in Photoshop, resize it and reposition it. So I'm okay with this for tutorial's sake. Okay. Oh, and by the way, if you want to resize, press K on your keyboard. So, and this is where you need to pay a lot of attention. We're going to duplicate this photo, press Alt on your keyboard and just duplicate it. If you hover over an artboard, it just automatically puts this into the artboard. So let's say we're going to use the second and the third photo in this carousel for a lot of details. So we're going to make this photo bigger. You still got K selected on your keyboard, so you don't need to press it again. Make it a lot bigger. And it's always nice to see a little bit of this last photo in the second photo. So you want to swipe to the end of this carousel. So in this case, I'm just going to cut off the head on the third photo and place it in the second photo. Again, press Alt on your keyboard and duplicate it to the second artboard. Pay a lot of attention because this is free software and we don't work with automatic rulers. So zoom in, and this sounds pretty easy. It is super easy, but just be sure to pay attention. We're going to replace this photo by shoving it to the right side until it connects perfectly. And as you can see, it just looks like one photo right now. Just zoom out right now to see the full artboard. And as you can see right now, it's a seamless connecting multi-photo for your Instagram. If you want to rename them, you can do that by just clicking on frame 1. Let's call it Instagram Carousel Figma _01. And the second name you can change, of course. Double click on frame 2 and rename it, and of course you're going to do it by the third frame as well. Now that you've renamed them, select them all and go to the right side of your screen and just click Export 3 layers. And that's everything. This is the way how you can use Figma to create a seamless connecting multi-photo for Instagram. So now you know how I make these photos, and now you can do it yourself. If you want to use Figma and have never used it before and want to use this template, just go to the description down below, click on the Figma link. Everyone that uses this URL has viewing rights, but with the viewing rights you can just select them and copy and paste them to your own artboard. If you're using this template, be sure to leave a comment in the Figma file. Just press C on your keyboard and maybe leave your Instagram handle so I can see your photo. So if you are a Photoshop user and you want to use this template that I just shown you, be sure to check the description down below. You can find a URL in the description. It's a free download. And if you've used this method for Photoshop or Figma and you post it on Instagram, be sure to tag me. I would love to see what you've made. And that's it for today. While you are still here, feel free to like, subscribe and leave a comment, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.